honest conversation about that. I didn't ask him for any commitment at that time because I had a lot on my plate today, and I've been busy ever since that conversation we had early this morning. But I'm going to speak as truthfully to him as I am to all of you and tell you that I think that was way out of line. I don't think that was a smart thing to do. I don't think it was the right thing to do, and the House is going to reverse it. We're going to repeal that, and I'm going to expect our colleagues in the Senate to do the same thing.
Mr. Speaker, you said that you're for full transparency, so why not just urge all your Republicans to vote for this massive Connell bill on the Epstein files next week? Put out all the files. Let the American public judge for themselves what these files are all about.
Thank you for asking the question. We have been for maximum transparency of the Epstein files from the very beginning. What I was opposed to is the reckless disregard that was used in drafting the discharge petition. And we've been over this many times, but it was not drafted in such a way that it would adequately protect innocent victims. We have a responsibility to do that. There's as many as 1,000 women, by some estimates, of people who have been victimized because of the sex trafficking and Epstein and all these horrendous, heinous crimes, and we can't have them subjected to any further harm. So we wanted to make sure that they were properly, whose names were properly redacted out of the files. But the discharge petition is not only reckless, it is also a totally moot point. The Oversight Committee has been working, as you all know, around the clock, working on this. And you have some of the toughest members of Congress on the Republican and Democrat side who are working in bipartisan fashion to go through and release those files. As we stand here tonight, I think we're up to over 50,000 pages of records that are out in the open. You can go online tonight if you're at home and go through it yourself. And the Epstein estate files thus far has been the biggest tranche of important information. We found that outside of the scope of the discharge petition because it was never even anticipated or included in the discharge. The Oversight Committee, well, let me finish. The Oversight Committee has been digging into that, and some of the most valuable information was in the estate files. It includes Jeffrey Epstein's own personal logs, his travel logs, his financial ledgers, his daily calendar. All this is now out in the public, and more is to come. Chairman Comer of the Oversight Committee has done an extraordinary job. You have, again, some of the most notable members in Congress working on that around the clock, and they will continue to have full disclosure. I want to say this tonight, and I think this is a shame to a lot of the Hill Press Corps. I'm not going to name any of you by name, but I haven't seen many stories written yet about the fact that we put the discharge up for unanimous consent on the floor tonight. The Republicans, the Speaker, and the Republicans asked for unanimous consent to just go ahead and pass the discharge because I think it's a moot point. The Democrats objected to the unanimous consent. Nobody's written a story about that. That's stunning to me. How can you miss that? If it was about transparency, if it was about full disclosure, there's two questions you should ask every Democrat in the House and Senate. Why didn't you bring this up during the 4 years of the Biden administration when the Biden DOJ had all these records the entire time? Nobody ever said a word about it. They didn't care. Now it's the biggest thing in the world. Didn't matter at all when Joe Biden had the files. And secondly, if they're for transparency and they really want all this to be out and there's such this urgency, then why did they vote down the unanimous consent to pass the discharge petition tonight? I can't answer that question, but they should. And every one of you should ask them about it. Yes.
Thank you. There are several members of your own conference that support at least a one-year extension of ACA subsidies. Others have alternative plans. Now that you're beyond this and this January 30th deadline looms, are you willing to put any one of those measures potentially on the floor?
I've been asked 100 times whether I'll commit to putting any ACA extension on the floor. What I have said from the very beginning, and we were consistent about this, and you all know from day one, the first order of business was to get the government open and working for the people again. It's the most basic responsibility, and we finally got that done tonight. And I said, as soon as the government was open, we would turn our attention to health care and all the other issues that are out there. We are willing to work and have always been willing to work in good faith with anybody in this building who wants to bring down the cost of health care. The Unaffordable Care Act, the ACA, did exactly the opposite of what they promised it. When the Democrats passed their health care law back in 2010, you all remember, the average American would have their premiums reduced by $2,500. They swore to you, and that was not true. And I think the people that drew it up knew it was not true in the very beginning. It was a lie. The people that were the architects of Obamacare, of the ACA, wanted single payer. They designed a system that they knew, they had to know, because they're really intelligent folks, was going to implode on itself. They knew that it was not sustainable. And what has happened since that time? And we're going to be going through this in great detail next week. Get ready. We're going to take you through a timeline of who destroyed American health care. And I'll give you a hint. It didn't have anything to do with the Republican Party. It was the Democrats. They're the ones that gave you the Unaffordable Care Act. They're the ones that have been trying to subsidize it and prop it up and add to it ever since. We're the ones that have been trying to fix it. The Republican Party has. What has happened since the Democrats wrecked American health care is that your premiums have gone up by some cases 60%, in some cases more. And it's going to go up further. So their solution is right now they want to subsidize it further. They want to subsidize insurance companies. They want the COVID-era extension that was created by the Democrats themselves. They created the subsidy. They're the ones that put the expiration date of December 31 of 2025 on that. They knew it wasn't going to be permanent because it was a boondoggle. And now they're trying to claim it's Republicans' fault? The Democrats created it. The Democrats broke it. The Democrats are driving your cost up. Who are you going to trust to fix health care? It's the Republican Party. Because we have volumes of ideas on how to do this, on how to fix it, on how to drive costs down, and how to increase access to care and quality of care, and you're going to see all that vigorous debate. So the answer to your question is, am I going to guarantee a vote on ACA unreformed COVID-era subsidies that is just a boondoggle to insurance companies and robs the taxpayer? We got a lot of work to do on that. The Republicans would demand a lot of reforms before anything like that was ever possible, and we have to go through that deliberative process. We have 433 members of the House of Representatives. There's a lot of opinions in this building, and on our side, certainly a lot of opinions on how to fix health care and make it more affordable. I have to allow that process to play out. I'll leave you with this. The biggest objection that I had to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who were playing political games with people's lives when they shut the government down, was Chuck Schumer came out and said the quiet part out loud. I don't even think he realized he has no self-awareness. But he came and cried to all of you that I would not agree to go into a back room and make a four corners agreement on these issues. That just he and I and Hakeem Jeffries and Leader Thune would go in a room and make this decision for the entire population of America and block out all of our colleagues as if they had no voice in it. That is why Washington is broken. That's why Congress hasn't worked well for people. That's why they don't have a lot of faith in what goes on here. And I'm committed to trying to restore that faith. And one way we do that is we get back to regular order, and we allow all the duly elected members of this body to have their voices heard. I'm not playing games, and Chuck Schumer, I'm not going in a back room with you and making a four corners deal on anything. And I hope you understand that. Thank you all. We got the government open. Let's celebrate tonight. They did the right thing. We congratulate them.